The colony ship broke through the atmosphere of Kepler 442b with a violent shudder. Inside the cargo bay, Daewon gripped the safety rail and watched the warning lights flash red across the control panel. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Solar storm interference. The ship's computer announced in a calm voice that didn't match the chaos around them. Cargo Bay 3 has been compromised. Cargo Bay 5 has been compromised. Emergency landing protocols activated. Daewon felt his stomach drop. Cargo Bay 3 held the human settlement equipment. All of it. The prefabricated housing units, the automated construction drones, the climate control systems. Everything they needed to build homes for 43 people on this new world. The ship touched down hard. Metal groaned. Alarm screamed. Then, after what felt like forever, silence. Daewon released the rail and ran toward the cargo section. Other colonists were already moving through the corridors. He saw Velra, the expedition leader, her insect-like body moving with quick precision. She was from the Altarian species, tall and covered in a shimmering blue exoskeleton. Her large compound eyes reflected the emergency lights. "Status report," Velra commanded, her mandibles clicking rapidly. It was a sign of stress in her species. "Checking now," Daewon replied, entering the cargo bay access code. The doors hissed open. The sight made his heart sink. Cargo containers were crushed, torn open, scattered across the floor like broken toys. Sparks flew from damaged equipment. The smell of burnt electronics filled the air. Hana appeared beside him. His partner was also a botanist, but right now she looked at the destruction with the same horror he felt. "Is any of it salvageable?" she asked quietly. Daewon walked through the wreckage, checking container after container. The prefab housing units were destroyed. The construction drones were crushed beyond repair. The automated systems were fried by electrical surges. But then he found something. In the corner, covered by debris, were the backup supplies. Basic materials, wooden planks, metal fasteners, hand tools, solar panels, rolls of insulation material. Things they'd brought just in case. Items that seemed primitive compared to their advanced equipment. "We have materials," Daewon said. "Raw materials. And tools. Basic ones." Velra approached, her antennae twitching. "But your construction technology is destroyed. How will you build shelters?" "We'll figure something out," Daewon said, though he wasn't sure what yet. An emergency meeting was called in the main assembly area. All the species leaders gathered. Velra stood at the center, her form projecting authority despite the crisis. "The situation is critical," she began. "The solar storm has damaged significant portions of our cargo. We have 72 hours before this planet's winter season begins. The temperature will drop to -40 degrees. Without shelter, we will not survive." She activated a holographic display. It showed the colony site divided into sectors. Each species had been assigned an area. "We must build now." Each species will use whatever equipment survived in their cargo allocation. The Coalition's emergency protocol is clear. We work independently to establish our own settlements first. Once stable, we can assist each other. Korth, the granite species engineer, rumbled in agreement. He was massive, his body composed of living silicon and stone. "My people have our sonic resonators. We will shape our dwellings from the bedrock. 3 days is sufficient." Pipton, one of the Luminari, flickered with soft light. The Luminari were beings of pure energy contained in crystalline forms. "We have our lattice weavers. Our domes will crystallize within 2 days." Velra turned to Daewon. "And the humans? What construction equipment survived?" The room went quiet. All eyes, compound and simple, organic and crystalline, focused on him. "None of our advanced equipment survived," Daewon admitted. "We have raw materials. Lumber, fasteners, hand tools, some solar panels, and insulation." The silence grew heavier. "No fabrication technology?" Korth asked, his voice like grinding rocks. "No assembly drones? No molecular bonders?" "No," Daewon said simply. Velra's mandibles clicked rapidly. "What will you build with? How can your people construct shelters with such primitive resources?" Daewon looked at Hana. She gave him a slight nod. He turned back to the council. "We'll figure it out," he said again, with more confidence this time. The meeting ended. Each species returned to their sector to begin construction. Daewon and Hana walked to the human zone, a flat area near a small forest. 20 families waited there, their belongings in small piles around them. Children held on to their parents. Everyone looked worried. Minho, The oldest human in the group at 67 years approached Day One. Despite his age, the retired architect stood straight and strong. "What's the plan?" he asked, honestly. "I'm working on it," Day One replied. Yuna, a young structural engineer, joined them. "I've been thinking. We can't use modern methods, but humans built structures for thousands of years before we had advanced technology." "Exactly," Minho said, his eyes brightening. "My grandfather taught me traditional Korean building techniques. We built with wood and stone. We used nature, not fought it." Jihoon, a former carpenter, overheard and came closer. "I know traditional joinery. We can build without relying only on nails and screws. Stronger connections, more people gathered." Sora, a material scientist, suggested testing the local clay. "We might be able to make adobe. Mix it with our insulation material for better heat retention." Daewon felt something shift inside him. They didn't have technology, but they had knowledge, skills, experience, and they had each other. From their sector, they could see the other species beginning their work. Velra stood beside a large machine that hummed and produced streams of biofoam. The foam expanded and hardened, forming the beginning of a hive-like structure. It was beautiful, organic, perfectly designed. Korth had placed his hands on the bare rock. His body glowed with inner light, and the stone beneath him began to shift and reshape, rising slowly into walls. The luminari wove patterns of light in the air. Where their energy touched, crystalline structures began to form, transparent and strong. It was impressive, all of it. Daewon looked at his own people standing in an empty field with piles of wood and boxes of tools. No machines, no special abilities, just humans. "All right," he said, raising his voice so everyone could hear. "Gather around." The 43 humans formed a circle. Adults, teenagers, elderly, even the children. "We don't have fancy technology," Daewon began. "We can't grow buildings from foam or reshape stone with our minds. But our ancestors built cities with less than what we have here. They had one thing that worked better than any machine." "What's that?" asked Tejin, an 8-year-old boy. "Each other," Daewon said. "We're going to build these homes together. All of us. And we're going to do it the old way. The human way." Hana stepped forward. "We'll build one house at a time. Everyone helps. When that house is done, we move to the next. No one gets left behind." "But we have 20 families," someone said. "We can't possibly build 20 houses in 3 days." Minho smiled. "You've never seen a barn raising, have you? When communities work together, they could build a barn in a single day. We're going to do the same." Daewon started sketching in the dirt with a stick. "We'll divide into teams. One team prepares foundations. Another cuts lumber. Another assembles walls. We work like an assembly line, but with houses." Yuna added, "Each house will use the same basic design, but we'll customize for each family's needs. We learn from each build and get faster." The plan took shape. People volunteered for different roles. Those who couldn't do heavy work would prepare meals, watch children, organize materials. Everyone had a purpose. As the sun set on their first day on Kepler 442b, the humans cleared the ground for their first foundation. Around them, alien structures were already taking form. Velra's biofoam hive was growing steadily. Korth's stone dwelling rose from the bedrock, but in the human sector there was something different. There was talking, laughing, planning. There was community forming even before the first wall went up. Daewon stood beside Hana, looking at the empty field that would soon hold their homes. "Think we can do this?" Hana asked. "We have to," he replied. "But yes, I think we can do this." Humans have always been good at solving impossible problems. In the distance, Velra watched through a monitoring drone. She observed the humans organizing, planning, working together. Her calculation said they would fail. The numbers were clear. Without technology, without automation, they simply didn't have enough time. But something in the way the humans moved, the way they gathered and shared ideas, made her uncertain. She had seen many species build many things, but she had never seen anything quite like this. The humans weren't building yet. But somehow Velra sensed that when they started, something interesting would happen. She returned to her biofoam generator and continued her own construction. The hive would be magnificent, efficient, perfect. But as she worked alone, she found herself wondering what the humans would create with nothing but wood, tools, and each other. The first morning on Kepler 442b began with light that painted the sky in shades of purple and orange. Day-One woke before dawn and found he wasn't alone. Most of the humans were already awake, preparing for the work ahead. "Coffee's ready," Hana said, handing him a cup. She'd somehow managed to set up a small cooking area using portable equipment that survived the crash. Around them, people were stretching, talking quietly, organizing tools. There was nervous energy in the air. They had 72 hours. Now it was 70 hours. Minho approached with Yuna and Jihoon. "We've been discussing the foundation," the old architect said. "This soil is good. Dense clay beneath a layer of topsoil. We can dig shallow foundations, use gravel for drainage. The local stone is perfect," Yuna added. "I tested samples last night. It splits cleanly. We can use it for foundation corners," Daewon nodded. "Show everyone. We start in 30 minutes. When the sun fully rose, all 43 humans gathered. Daewon stood on a supply crate so everyone could see him. "Here's how this works," he announced. "We're building House 1 today. All of us together. Minho's team handles foundation and site preparation. Yuna's team works on cutting and preparing lumber. Jihoon's team assembles walls and frames. Sora's team manages materials and creates insulation mixtures. Everyone else, you'll float between teams where you're needed." A woman named Yoonji raised her hand. "What about those of us who don't know construction?" "You'll learn," Jihoon said with a smile. "We'll teach you. That's part of this. Everyone contributes what they can." The work began. Minho's foundation team, which included several strong younger people, started digging. They worked in a line, removing topsoil, exposing the clay beneath. Minho showed them how to compact the earth, how to place stones for corners, how to create channels for drainage. Yuna's lumber team set up a cutting station. They measured boards, marked cuts, used handsaws to create pieces. It was slow at first. Manual cutting took time, but Yuna created templates, and soon they developed a rhythm. Jihoon's assembly team laid out the first wall frame on the ground. He demonstrated traditional joinery techniques, showing how pieces could fit together with precise cuts, making connections stronger than simple nails. "This is old knowledge," Jihoon explained to the people watching him work. "Temples in Korea stood for centuries using these methods. No screws, no glue, just wood fitting to wood." Sora's team experimented with materials. They mixed local clay with the thermal insulation that survived the crash. The result was a thick paste that dried hard and retained heat. "It's like adobe," Sora explained. "Ancient building material but enhanced." Children ran between work areas, carrying small tools, bringing water to workers, learning by watching. Taejin, the 8-year-old, appointed himself as the official water carrier. He took the job seriously, making sure no one got thirsty. By midday, the foundation was complete. The wall frames were assembled. People who'd never held a hammer before were now nailing boards with reasonable accuracy. "Ready to raise the walls," Jihoon called out. Everyone gathered around the first wall frame. On Jihoon's count, they lifted together. The frame rose, heavy but manageable with many hands. They guided it into place, secured it to the foundation. Then the second wall, the third, the fourth. In hours, the skeleton of a house stood in the empty field. From her biofoam hive, Velra watched through her drone. Her structure was impressive, growing steadily from the foam her machine produced. 30% complete, right on schedule. But she could work faster alone without the coordination problems of groups. She looked at the human sector. Their structure was crude compared to her elegant hive, but it had gone up so fast. She checked her calculations again. At this rate, the humans might finish one house, maybe two, still not enough for 20 families. She returned to her work but kept one drone focused on the humans. In the human sector, lunch became a community event. Hana and several others had prepared food using their portable supplies. Everyone sat together, eating, talking, sharing ideas. "The roof is going to be our biggest challenge," Yuna said between bites. "We need to weatherproof it quickly." Bora, a 16-year-old girl who was training to be an engineer, had been quiet all morning. Now she spoke up. "What about the solar panels? We have extra ones. They're rigid, waterproof, and collect energy. Could we use them as part of the roofing?" Everyone turned to look at her. Daewon considered it. "That's actually brilliant. We could create a double layer. Solar panels on top for weather protection and power generation, insulation underneath. Bora, can you design that?" The teenager's face lit up. "Yes, I'll work on it right now." This was what made humans different, Daewon thought. A 16-year-old's idea was given the same weight as a 67-year-old architect's knowledge. Age didn't determine value. Good ideas came from everywhere. After lunch, they returned to work with renewed energy. The walls went up. Bora's roofing design was tested on a small section and worked perfectly. Jihoon's team began installing it, while others started on interior walls. Sora's clay mixture was applied between boards, sealing gaps providing insulation. As evening approached, House 1 had walls, a roof, a door, and windows installed. It wasn't finished, but it was shelter. Real shelter. The humans stood back and looked at what they'd created in one day. Not bad, Minho said with satisfaction. Not bad at all. But Daewon was already thinking ahead. Tomorrow we start 4 houses at once. People looked at him in surprise. 4? Yoonji asked. How? We learned everything today, Daewon explained. We know what works. Now we split into specialized teams and work simultaneously. Minho's team will prepare 4 foundations while Yuna's team cuts materials for all 4 houses. Jihoon's team will rotate between sites. We'll move like a factory but building homes. Yuna understood immediately. We're applying assembly line principles. Sequential stations, specialized tasks, continuous flow. Exactly, Daewon said. And we keep teaching. Everyone who learned today teaches someone new tomorrow. Our workforce multiplies. That night, the humans didn't rest completely. Some worked on preparing materials for the next day. Others practiced skills they'd learned. Bora refined her solar panel roofing design. Minho taught a small group advanced techniques by lamplight. Korth, the granite engineer, was returning to his stone dwelling when he passed the human sector. He saw lights, heard voices, saw people working. His species valued rest. They meditated, recharged their mineral structures. Yet these humans continued. Curious, he approached the edge of their camp. A young woman noticed him. It was Hana. Hello, she said warmly. Can I help you? Your people do not rest, Korth observed, his voice like rocks grinding together. This is inefficient. You will exhaust yourselves, Hana smiled. We're resting in shifts. Some sleep while others work, and we're not exhausting ourselves. We're preparing. Tomorrow we build 4 houses. Impossible, Korth said flatly. You completed 1 structure today with all your workers. You cannot build 4 with the same number of people. Want to bet? Hana asked playfully. Korth didn't understand betting, but he understood challenges. I will observe. Your methods are unusual. He stayed for an hour, watching Minho teach joinery to a group of attentive students, watching Bora and Yuna calculate load distributions, watching children practice hammering nails into scrap wood, their parents encouraging them. You share knowledge freely, Korth observed. In my species, master craftsmen guard their techniques. That seems lonely, Hana replied. When we share what we know, everyone gets better. The whole community improves. But then you lose advantage. Everyone becomes equal. That's the point, Hana said. We want everyone equal. Everyone capable. When one of us succeeds, we all succeed. Korth was silent for a long moment. His crystalline mind processed this concept. It was foreign to his experience. Yet he could not deny the efficiency he witnessed. These humans were transforming novices into skilled workers in hours. Your species is strange, he finally said. We get that a lot, Hana replied with a grin. Korth returned to his dwelling, but his mind churned with thoughts. His people built beautiful structures through individual mastery, but it took time. Each granite worked alone, shaping stone through geological meditation. The humans had no such power. They couldn't reshape matter with thought. They had only simple tools in mortal hands, yet they were moving faster than his calculations suggested possible. In her hive, Velra reviewed the day's footage. The humans had completed 1 house. She had completed 35% of her hive. Her biofoam generator worked efficiently. She was ahead of schedule. But something bothered her. The humans were learning, adapting, improving. She saw it in the recordings. The cuts became cleaner as the day progressed. The hammering grew more confident. The assembly time shortened. They were accelerating. She ran new calculations based on their learning curve. If they maintained this rate of improvement, and if they successfully split into multiple teams, they could finish 8 houses, maybe 10, still not enough for 20 families, but more than she'd initially thought possible. Velra adjusted her work schedule. She would increase her pace, ensure her hive was complete with time to spare. Then perhaps she could help the humans. though she wasn't sure how. Her biofoam technology wouldn't work on their wooden structures. As night deepened, Day 2 began with organization that resembled a military operation. Before the sun rose, Day 1 had divided the 43 humans into 4 primary teams, each with specific roles. "Listen up," he called out as everyone gathered. "We're not building one house today. We're building 4. Here's how it works." He pointed to 4 marked spots in the field. "Those are our sites. Mino's foundation team will rotate between all 4, preparing each site in sequence. While they dig Site 2, Yuna's cutting team prepares lumber for Site 1. While walls go up on Site 1, foundations are being laid on Site 3. We keep moving, keep flowing," Jihoon added. "My assembly team splits into pairs. We supervise construction at each site, but the actual work gets done by everyone. We're teachers now, not just builders." It sounded chaotic. It looked chaotic at first, but within an hour, it became something else entirely. Minho's team hit Site 1 with practiced efficiency. They'd done this yesterday. Now they worked faster, with confidence. Holes were dug, stones placed, gravel spread. In 90 minutes, the first foundation was complete. They moved immediately to Site 2. Yuna's cutting station operated like a factory. She'd created templates overnight. Now people could measure and cut with speed and accuracy. Boards were marked, cut, and stacked by house number. "Site 1 lumber ready," she called out. Jihoon's people swarmed Site 1. Wall frames went together quickly. Yesterday's lessons had been learned. People knew which end of a hammer to use now. They understood angles, levels, and basic structure. By noon, Site 1 had all 4 walls standing. The roof frame was going up, but that wasn't the amazing part. The amazing part was that Site 2 had walls being assembled on the ground, ready to raise. Site 3 had its foundation nearly complete, and Site 4 was being marked and prepared. It was like watching a wave move across the field. Work flowed from one stage to the next in a continuous rhythm. Velra watched from her hive with growing fascination. Her biofoam structure was now 60% complete. She was ahead of schedule and proud of her work. It would be a beautiful home. But the humans had 5 houses in various stages of construction. 5. She checked her calculations 3 times. The math didn't work. They shouldn't be moving this fast with primitive tools and manual labor. How? She muttered to herself, mandibles clicking in confusion. Pipton, the luminary energy being, flickered near her. "You've noticed too?" "It defies efficiency models," Velra replied. "They're using muscle power and simple tools. Where's the speed coming from?" Pipton pulsed thoughtfully. "Watch their young one." The female called Bora. Velra directed her drone's focus. Bora was at Site 2, explaining her solar panel roofing system to a group of adults. They listened carefully, asked questions, then immediately implemented her design. Within minutes, they were installing the panels faster than Bora had done yesterday. "They learn from each other," Pipton observed. "Knowledge transfers instantly. One discovers a better method, and within an hour, everyone uses it." "But that's..." Velra struggled for words. "That's collective intelligence. Like a hive mind, but without biological connection." "It's called culture," Pipton said. "They share information through teaching and demonstration. Every human becomes a node in a learning network." Velra watched a child, young Tejin, showing an adult how to hold boards at the correct angle. The adult had more strength, but the child had learned the technique faster. Neither thought this unusual. They simply shared knowledge. "Fascinating," Velra whispered. Korth arrived at the human site around midday, drawn by curiosity. Yesterday, Hana had challenged his assumptions. Today, he wanted to see if these humans could truly build 4 houses. What he saw made his crystalline mind whirl with questions. Site 1 was nearly complete. The roof was on. Windows were being installed. Interior walls were going up. People moved with purpose and efficiency. Site 2 had walls raised and a roof frame in place. Work proceeded quickly. Site 3 had foundations complete and walls being assembled. Site 4 had just begun foundation work, and there was still half a day remaining. This should not be possible, Korth said aloud. Daewon overheard and walked over. Why not? You have limited workers. Each task requires time. You cannot compress physical labor beyond certain limits. True, Daewon agreed. But we're not compressing labor. We're optimizing flow. See that team there? He pointed to a group moving from Site 1 to Site 2. They just finished wall installation at Site 1. Now they're applying those skills at Site 2, but faster because they learned from their mistakes. By the time they reach Site 4, they'll be twice as fast. Sequential learning, Korth realized. And parallel processing, Day1 added. We have multiple teams working different stages simultaneously. Foundation team doesn't wait for wall team to finish. Wall team doesn't wait for roof team. We're always moving forward. Korth watched a young human hammering nails. Yesterday, that same person had fumbled with the hammer. Today, they worked with steady confidence. You're all improving, Korth observed. Every minute, Day1 confirmed. That's the human advantage. We adapt fast. We learn from each other. And we're stubborn. We don't accept limits easily. By evening, the reality was undeniable. Site 1 was complete, fully finished, ready for occupation. Site 2 was nearly done, needing only interior work and final sealing. Site 3 had a roof and was being sealed. Site 4 had walls up, 4 houses in one day. The humans had done it and they weren't stopping. We've got light for another 2 hours, Yuna announced. Let's finish Site 2 completely and get Site 3 weather-tight. People who should have been exhausted pushed forward. There was energy in the camp, a momentum that carried them beyond normal limits. Belra called an informal meeting with Korth and Pipton. They gathered at the edge of the human sector, watching the work continue as daylight faded. They'll finish all 20 houses, Pipton said quietly. I've run the projections. At this rate, they'll complete construction with hours to spare. Impossible, Velra repeated, though with less conviction than before. We've been thinking about this wrong, Korth rumbled. We measure construction by individual capability. How fast can one being build? But humans don't work as individuals. They work as a collective organism. A hive without biology, Velra said, echoing her earlier thought. More than that, Pipton added. A hive that learns and adapts in real time. Each member can do any role. If one area needs more workers, they shift. If someone discovers a better technique, it spreads through the entire group within minutes. They watched Minho teaching a group of younger humans advanced techniques by the light of portable lamps. He was passing on knowledge learned over decades, and his students absorbed it like dry earth soaking up rain. Our technology is superior, Velra said slowly, working through her thoughts. My biofoam generator can create structures without labor. Korth's sonic resonators reshape matter. Your energy weaving creates near-perfect shelters. But, Korth prompted, but we work alone. Each of us builds our own dwelling. We rely on technology to compensate for working individually. And they rely on each other, Pipton finished. The 3 aliens stood in silence, watching the humans work into the night. Teams rotated. Fresh workers replaced tired ones. The construction never stopped. I have completed 3 stone dwellings, Korth said. I need to build 2 more for my families. It will take me the remaining time, possibly more. My energy dome's number 3, Pipton admitted. I need 4 more. I'm uncertain if I can finish. Velra's mandibles clicked softly. My hive will house only me. I built for individual perfection, not community need. They looked at each other, then back at the humans. Perhaps, Korth said slowly, we have something to learn from these beings. Inside the human camp, Bora made another discovery. She was analyzing the structural data when she realized something. Day 1, she called excitedly. I've figured out how to reduce lumber use by 15% without compromising strength. We can optimize the frame design. Day 1 looked at her calculations. This is brilliant, Bora, but we've already built 5 houses with the old design. I know, she said, but for the remaining houses we can use less material. That means we'll have extra resources. We could build a community building. A place where everyone gathers. Day 1 grinned. You're thinking ahead, I like it. Share this with Yuna and Minho. Let's implement it starting with Site 5. Within 20 minutes, the new design was being taught to all the cutting teams. Adjustments were made. The improved efficiency was incorporated into the workflow. This was how humans operated. Constant improvement, immediate implementation, shared benefits. As night deepened, Sites 1 and 2 stood complete. Site 3 was weather-tight and functional. Site 4 needed only a roof, and foundations for Sites 5, 6, 7, and 8 were already being prepared for tomorrow. Velra reviewed the day's progress. She'd reached 75% on her hive. Excellent progress, but the humans had completed nearly 8 houses. 8 different structures, each customized slightly for the family that would live there, and they were accelerating. She watched Tajin playing a game with other children. They were practicing hammering, making it fun, learning through play. By tomorrow, those children would be contributing members of the construction teams. They're not building shelters, Velra realized aloud. The third day began with confidence. The humans had found their rhythm. 8 houses stood complete, 4 more were nearly finished, and foundations were ready for the final 8 structures. They would make their deadline easily. Then the alarm sounded. Day 1 was supervising the roof installation on Site 9 when the colony-wide alert system activated. Every species heard the warning simultaneously, translated into their respective languages. Atmospheric alert. Winter storm system has accelerated. Expected arrival in 14 hours. Repeat, 14 hours. All colonists must secure shelter immediately. 14 hours, not 24. The storm was coming 10 hours early. Day 1 felt his stomach clench. They'd been counting on having tonight and tomorrow morning. Now that time was cut in half. The emergency council meeting was called within minutes. All species leaders gathered at the central landing site. Velra's antennae were rigid with stress. The solar activity has intensified. The storm system is moving faster than projected. We have 14 hours until temperatures drop to lethal levels. She activated the status display. Each species' progress appeared in holographic form. Altarians. My hive is 85% complete. I can finish within 12 hours. Korth stepped forward, his massive form shadowed with concern. Granite structures, 3 complete. 2 incomplete. I cannot finish 2 dwellings in 14 hours. It is impossible. 2 families will have no shelter. Pipton flickered with distressed colors. Luminary energy domes, 3 stable, 4 unstable. The domes require 20 hours to fully crystallize. Without complete crystallization, they will collapse under storm conditions. My people are at risk. Other species reported similar problems. The compressed timeline had caught everyone unprepared. Even with advanced technology, they needed more time. Velra turned to Day 1. Humans? 12 houses complete, Day 1 reported. 8 in various stages. 4 have walls and roofs but need ceiling. 4 have foundations and partial walls. We need about 8 hours of work spread across those 8 houses. The math was brutal. Most species couldn't finish their shelters in time. Velra's mandibles clicked rapidly as she thought. We must help each other. I propose resource sharing. My biofoam can seal the granite structures. The material bonds to stone. I can reinforce energy domes with stone frameworks, Korth offered. It's not elegant, but it will stabilize them. Pipton pulsed agreement. And I can use energy matrices to accelerate curing processes. We work together or we fail separately. Everyone looked at Day 1, expecting him to request help. The humans were closest to completion, but they still had significant work remaining. We'll finish our houses, Day 1 said. But we could use help with something else. The aliens exchanged confused glances. What kind of help? Velra asked. We need people, not technology. Just hands. Anyone willing to learn can help us seal, install, and finish our remaining structures. We'll teach you what to do. Silence fell over the meeting. You want us to do manual labor? Korth asked, genuinely confused. But we have no experience with your construction methods. We'll teach you, Day 1 repeated. It's simple work, hammering, carrying materials, holding boards steady. If we get help, we can finish our houses in 6 hours. Then we'll use the remaining 8 hours to help all of you complete your structures. You would help us? Pipton asked, colors swirling with surprise. Of course, Hannah said, stepping forward. We're all colonists together. If some of us freeze, we all fail. Help us finish quickly and we'll have time to help everyone else. Velra considered this. Her species valued individual achievement. Asking for help was seen as weakness. But the humans offered something different. Not a rescue, but a collaboration. I will come, Velra decided. Show me what to do. Korth rumbled agreement. My strength can be useful even without stone shaping, Pipton flickered. I will send several of my people. We can learn. The meeting dissolved as species scrambled to address the crisis. Velra, Korth, and 3 Luminari accompanied the humans back to their sector. Day 1 took them to Site 13, which had walls and a roof but needed ceiling and interior work. All right, Day 1 said, holding up a hammer. This is a hammer. The heavy end hits nails. The claw end removes them. Try not to hit your fingers. He handed the hammer to Velra. She held it awkwardly, her mandibles clicking uncertainly. I have never used such a primitive tool. First time for everything, Ji-hoon said encouragingly. He pointed to a board that needed to be secured. See those nails? Hit them until they're flush with the wood. Like this. He demonstrated with quick, efficient strikes. Velra positioned herself, raised the hammer, and swung. She missed the nail entirely and hit the wood. Her second attempt glanced off the nail sideways. Her third attempt bent the nail. This is difficult, she admitted. Taejin appeared beside her. The 8-year-old smiled up at the towering alien. You're holding it too tight. Relax your grip. Let the hammer's weight do the work. Velra looked down at the small human. Then she adjusted her grip as instructed. Her next swing hit the nail squarely. And the next? And the next, I did it, she exclaimed. Her mandibles spreading in what humans were learning was an Altarian smile. You're doing great, Taejin encouraged. Now just do that about 200 more times. Korth discovered that his geological precision translated perfectly to measuring and cutting. His massive hands could hold measuring tools steady with absolute accuracy. Yuna put him in charge of ensuring all cuts were exact. The luminary beings of energy found they could heat and shape materials that normally required special tools. They could soften adhesive instantly, allowing for faster sealing. They could warm metal, making it easier to bend and shape. Within an hour, the mixed species team found a rhythm. Velra worked alongside a 10-year-old human named Minji, both of them hammering nails in steady synchronization. Korth measured and marked lumber while Yuna supervised. The luminary moved between sites using their abilities to speed up processes that humans did manually. But the most remarkable change was cultural. Ji-hoon started singing while he worked. An old Korean work song, rhythmic and simple. Soon other humans joined in. The song created a beat, a tempo that synchronized their hammering. Why do you sing? Velra asked between hammer strikes. Makes the work go faster, Minji replied. And it's fun. We all work together like one big organism. Velra understood suddenly. Humans were a hive species. They simply used culture instead of biology to create their collective intelligence. As hours passed, the mixed teams accomplished incredible things. Site 13 was sealed and finished. Sites 14, 15, and 16 were completed in rapid succession. The humans taught, the aliens learned, and together they worked faster than either could alone. But time was running short. 6 hours before the storm, all 20 human houses stood complete. Every family had shelter, but now came the real test. All right, everyone. Day 1 announced to the mixed group of humans and aliens. We've got 6 hours. Let's go help our neighbors. They split into specialized teams and moved to the other sectors. At Korth's stone dwellings, Minho examined the incomplete structures. We can create wooden frameworks for temporary roofs, he decided. They won't be pretty, but they'll keep the weather out. Korth, you focus on reinforcing the walls. We'll handle the covering. Humans and granite worked side by side. Stone was shaped. Lumber was cut. Within 3 hours, Korth's families had complete shelter. At the luminary domes, Yuna proposed a hybrid solution. We'll build wooden support frames inside your energy structures. The crystallization can continue, but the frames will prevent collapse. Pipton was hesitant. It will ruin the aesthetic purity. But it will save lives, Hana pointed out gently. Pipton flickered agreement. Function over beauty. The humans worked inside the shimmering energy domes, installing supports, creating backup structures. The luminary were amazed at how quickly the humans adapted to working within their energy fields. 2 hours before the storm, every colonist had shelter. Not all the shelters were perfect. Some were hybrid combinations of different technologies. Some were temporary solutions that would need improvement later. But everyone would survive. As the first winds began to pick up, all the colonists gathered in the human sector. Day 1 had invited everyone to wait out the initial storm together. House 1, the first completed building, had been designated as the community gathering space. It was crowded with humans, Altarians, granite, luminary, and members of other species. Velra found herself sitting on the floor beside Taejin, who was teaching her a hand-clapping game. Korth stood near Minho discussing the mathematical beauty of traditional joinery. Pipton flickered contentedly, surrounded by human children who found its energy form fascinating. This is what you were building, Velra said to Day 1, watching the mixed group sharing food and stories. Not just shelters. Shelters keep you alive, Day 1 replied. But this, what we have here, this keeps you living. There's a difference. The storm hit with full force. Outside wind howled. Temperature dropped rapidly. Ice crystals formed on windows. But inside the human houses, connected by covered walkways built in those final hours, the colonists were warm, safe, and together. Hana ladled soup for anyone who wanted it. Humans shared their food supplies freely. Someone had set up a projection system showing old Earth. The storm lasted 3 days. During those 3 days, the colony discovered what it meant to be a community. The human houses, built in haste with simple tools, became the heart of the settlement. Species that had planned to live separately found themselves sharing space, sharing food, sharing stories. Velra spent most of the storm in House 1, which had become the unofficial gathering hall. She watched with fascination as humans organized activities. There were cooking rotations, so everyone contributed to meals. There were teaching sessions where species shared knowledge about their homeworlds. There were games and songs and simple moments of connection. On the second day of the storm, Bora organized a presentation about different architectural styles. Humans showed traditional Earth buildings. Velra explained Altarian bioarchitecture. Korth described granite geological construction. The Luminari demonstrated energy-weaving principles. Each method has strengths, Bora concluded. What if we combined them? Use the best of each approach? That simple suggestion sparked hours of discussion. Engineers from different species who had barely spoken before the storm now debated and designed together. Blueprints were sketched. Ideas were shared. Possibilities emerged. Tejan became everyone's favorite teacher. He moved between species without fear, showing Velra human card games, teaching Luminari children Earth songs, helping granite younglings understand human humor. His innocent acceptance of everyone made others feel welcome. How does your species produce such open-minded young? Pipton asked Hana, watching Tejan explain the rules of a board game to a group of alien children. We teach them that different doesn't mean wrong, Hana replied. We show them that everyone has value, regardless of where they come from or what they look like. Tejan doesn't see you as an energy being. He sees you as Pipton, his friend who tells great stories about space travel. The storm finally broke on the 4th day of the colony's existence. Sunlight returned, revealing a landscape transformed by ice and snow. The colonists emerged from their shelters to assess the situation. Velra's biofoam hive stood pristine and beautiful, a perfect organic structure. But it looked lonely, standing isolated in its sector. Korth's stone dwellings were magnificent, each one a work of geological art. But they seemed cold and separate. The luminary domes glimmered like frozen rainbows, elegant and impressive. But they lacked warmth. The human houses were simpler, rougher, built from basic materials. But they were connected by walkways. They had shared spaces between them. They looked like a neighborhood, a place where people lived together rather than near each other. I am writing my report to the Coalition, Velra announced at the first post-storm council meeting. I must accurately describe what happened here. She activated her holographic display. Data appeared, showing the construction timeline, resource usage, and survival outcomes. Initial assessment predicted human failure, Velra began. Their cargo contained no advanced construction technology. Logic suggested they would build fewer than 5 shelters in the allotted time. She displayed images of the human sector, 20 completed houses. Reality contradicted prediction. Humans completed 20 customized dwellings in 60 hours using manual labor and simple tools. This should have been impossible. Korth leaned forward. How did you explain it in your report? I identified the key factor, Velra continued. Humans do not build as individuals. They build as a collective organism. Their advantage is social architecture, not technological capability. She showed footage of the construction process, humans teaching each other, skills spreading through the group, children and elders working alongside adults, everyone contributing. They iterate rapidly, share knowledge instinctively, and optimize for collective benefit. One human discovers an improved technique, and within hours every human uses it. This creates exponential acceleration. Pipton flickered with interest. You're describing cultural evolution in real time. Exactly, Velra agreed. Most species evolve through biological adaptation over generations. Humans evolve through cultural adaptation in hours. They don't need technology because they have each other. She paused, mandibles clicking softly. But the most significant discovery is this. Humans do not build shelters. They build homes. The distinction is crucial, Daewon spoke up. What's the difference? A shelter provides physical protection from environment, Velra explained. A home provides emotional connection to community. Shelter keeps you alive. Home gives you reason to live. She displayed images of the gathering in House 1 during the storm. Different species sharing food, playing games, learning from each other. My biofoam hive is technically superior to any human structure. It regulates temperature perfectly, filters air efficiently, provides optimal living conditions. But it is designed for one occupant. It is a shelter. She gestured toward the human sector. Your houses are technically inferior. Wood construction is less durable than biofoam. Manual assembly creates imperfections, yet you built community spaces, gathering areas, connections between dwellings. You optimized for social interaction, not individual comfort. You built homes, Korth rumbled agreement. I shaped beautiful dwellings from stone. Each one is a masterpiece of geological art. But during the storm they felt empty. My families wanted to be where everyone gathered. In the human sector, my energy domes are elegant, Pipton added, colors shifting thoughtfully. But they're isolated. During the storm my people felt alone until humans invited us to share their space. Velra continued her presentation. Human impact extends beyond construction. During the crisis they offered help without expectation of return. They taught us their methods freely. They shared resources without negotiation. She displayed footage of the mixed species teams working together. This behavior contradicts typical survival protocols. Resources should be protected. Knowledge should be controlled. Yet humans do the opposite, and it makes them stronger, not weaker. It's called community, Hana said quietly. We learned long ago that we survive better together than apart. Sharing doesn't diminish us. It multiplies us. The council meeting ended with a unanimous decision. The colony would reorganize. Instead of separate sectors for each species, they would integrate. Mixed neighborhoods. Shared facilities. Combined efforts, we will learn from human social architecture, Velra declared. Technology builds structures. Community builds civilization. 6 months passed. The colony transformed. The human construction method spread to other species. Barn raisings became regular events, with mixed teams building everything from homes to laboratories to recreational facilities. Velra moved from her isolated hive into a hybrid dwelling near the human sector. She found she preferred having neighbors. Korth discovered the joy of teaching young humans about geology. Pipton collaborated with Bora on a fusion technology that combined energy weaving with human structural design. The colony developed traditions. Weekly gatherings where everyone shared food from their cultures. Children's programs that mixed species from an early age. Work teams that intentionally combined different abilities and perspectives. Daewon and Hana's house became a natural meeting place. Not because it was larger or better, but because it always welcomed visitors. Their door was always open. Food was always available. Friends were always welcome. One evening, Daewon stood outside looking at the settlement they'd built. It had grown significantly. New structures rose constantly. But more importantly, it felt alive. He could hear laughter from different houses, smell cooking from various kitchens, see people of different species walking together, talking, sharing their lives. Velra approached, her mandibles in a permanent smile these days. The coalition has commissioned a new colony, she said. 5 species. Hostile environment. They requested human construction consultants specifically. Will we have proper equipment this time? Daewon asked with a grin. Yes. The latest fabrication technology, automated systems, advanced materials. Good. We'll probably ignore most of it. Velra's mandibles clicked in amusement. I told them you would say that. But they insisted. They want both. Advanced technology and human methods. Makes sense, Daewon agreed. Technology is useful. But it's not enough by itself. Why not? Velra asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Daewon gestured to the settlement. Because when you build something with your own hands alongside your neighbors, it means something different. You're not just constructing walls. You're creating bonds. Every nail you hammer, every board you lift, every problem you solve together makes the community stronger. He pointed to a group working on a new community center. Humans, Altarians, Granite, and Luminary working side by side. That's what makes a place home. Not the technology used or the materials chosen. It's the connections formed during construction. The shared effort. The mutual support. Hana joined them, carrying Taejin on her shoulders. The boy had grown taller in 6 months but remained the colony's unofficial ambassador of friendship. Look, Taejin said excitedly, pointing. Korth is teaching the kids how to sense stone vibrations, and Pipton is showing them energy patterns. Everyone's learning together. That's how it should be, Hana said. Every generation learning from every source, taking the best from everyone and making something new. Velra watched the mixed group of children,